In the world of AI, things are always moving at a breakneck speed. But every so often, a bunch of updates drop at the same time that seem totally unrelated until you connect the dots, and suddenly you see this massive shift in the entire landscape. Well, that just happened, and that's what we're going to break down today.
Okay, I know what you might be thinking. Oh great, another AI hype cycle. But seriously, stick with me here, because this is different. What we just saw was a real tectonic shift, and the aftershocks are going to be felt for years. Most people are just looking at the individual tremors, but we're going to connect the dots and see the whole picture. In just the last few weeks, 5 key updates dropped from some of the biggest names in the game. And on their own, they're interesting, but together, they're pieces of a much, much larger puzzle.
Right, any one of these updates would be a pretty big deal. But when you put them all together, this incredibly clear and powerful pattern emerges. A pattern that signals we're changing how we think about and use AI in a really fundamental way. So let's break them down, and then we'll zoom out to see what it all means.
First up, we're going to talk about the rise of AI workers. Then we'll get into how this new wave is just demolishing the barriers to human creativity. We'll also touch on the surprising future of AI hardware, or lack thereof. And finally, we'll pull it all together to understand the great shift that's happening right now. So, let's jump right in with our first big idea, the rise of AI workers. This is where you see the biggest change, where AI stops being a tool you command and starts becoming a teammate that actually works with you. And at the heart of this whole thing is one core concept, the AI agent. OpenAI just made a huge move here, signaling they're going way beyond simple chatbots that just give you answers. We're officially in the era of agents, AIs that are built to take action for you. The best way to think about it is like this. Chatbots were tools, kind of like a fancy calculator. But agents are workers. And OpenAI made this crystal clear by rebranding their GPT store into the Agent Store. Now that's not just a name change, it's a mission statement. The first categories in this new Agent Store are exactly what you'd expect: research, coding, productivity. But here's the absolute game changer. These agents can ask for permission to access your digital life, your Google Drive, your email, and then actually do the work. Yeah, let that sink in. It's not an app store for tools. It's an app store for labor. This means for more and more tasks, the first thought won't be, who can I hire? It'll be, which agent can I hire? I mean, that is a seismic shift in how we think about getting things done. And this isn't some far-off idea from OpenAI. Nope, it's already showing up in the tools you and I use every single day. I'm talking about Microsoft Excel. They've just unleashed AI agents to kill off the most boring, soul-crushing parts of office work. Seriously, just imagine this for a second. What if you never had to write another Excel formula? No more fighting with VLOOKUP. No more trying to remember how to build a pivot table. Well, for anyone using Excel 365, that future isn't coming, it's already here. Microsoft has basically dropped these little automated code writers, called Python agents, right into Excel. So now you can upload a totally messy spreadsheet and just tell it in plain English, hey, clean this up and make me a chart for Q3 growth. The agent just writes and runs the code for you. It's over. The days of fighting with formulas are done. And that really gets to the core of it, right? All that repetitive, mind-numbing stuff that eats up so much of our workday, it's on its way out. This is about freeing up our brains to focus on the things humans are actually good at: big ideas, strategy, and creative problem solving. Okay, so if AI is handling all the grunt work, what are we left with? Well, that brings us to our next section, how AI is just shattering two of the biggest walls that have always gotten in the way of creativity and communication. I'm talking about code and language. Have you ever had a killer idea for an app and then just thought, but I can't code? If that's you, you need to see this. There's a new tool called Cursor that just launched a feature that is, and I'm not exaggerating, about to change everything. I mean, look at how simple this is. You just type what you want in plain English. Something like, build a landing page for my dog walking business, and the AI agent just does it. It builds the files, it writes the React code, which is a super common coding framework, and it deploys the app. You don't need to know how to code anymore. You just need to have an idea. So the code barrier is crumbling. What's next? Well, how about the language barrier? For anyone who works with people from around the world, this next update from ElevenLabs is an absolute jaw-dropper. They have built real-time voice translation directly into Zoom. So get this, you're on a call, you're speaking English, and the person on the other end hears you instantly in their own language.
But here's the truly wild part. They hear it in your voice. No subtitles, no weird delay, no robotic translation voice. It's you. It's just seamless.
All right, time for the final piece of our puzzle. And this one's all about how we physically interact with AI. It signals a huge shift away from buying shiny new gadgets and towards something way more integrated into what we already have.
So, this company, Rabbit, just launched their new R2 device. On the surface, it looks like another one of these standalone AI gadgets. But here's the twist. The real story isn't the hardware at all. The big news is that the R2 is now mostly a software layer that just lives on your phone, organizing your apps for you.
And this just confirms a massive trend we're seeing everywhere. The whole idea of a separate, dedicated AI device is kind of losing steam. The winning play by a mile is AI as an app, a smart software layer that just makes the devices we already have way, way better.
Okay, so we've looked at 5 different updates. AI agents doing your work, building software with plain English, real-time translation. On their own, they're cool. But now it's time to zoom out and see the powerful pattern that connects every single one of these dots.
This is what I'm calling the great shift. AI is moving from being a passive tool to an active worker. It's moving from clunky interfaces to seamless automation. And it's moving from being separate hardware to being an intelligent software layer. Every single update we just talked about is a perfect example of this huge underlying trend.
So what's the bottom line? We are at the very, very beginning of a new era. The groundwork is being laid for a future where AI workers and seamless automation aren't the exception, they're the default. And if you can see this pattern taking shape right now, you are way ahead of the curve. And that leaves us with one last, really exciting question. If this is just the dawn, what on earth is the rest of the day going to look like?